This is a 1-4 decision.
It's all tough. I understand why
2 years?
I think we did it last year as well.
We did a follow-up last year.
Yeah.
It's about this, I think we took a look at it about.
Another thing we talked about too is coordinating with OSP about that,
Yeah,
because
that's
a lot of this stuff comes off I-5 and ends up in Love's, and even this month, they arrested someone for DUI, which was a driving complaint from I-5. They just pulled into Love, so OSP goes and calls there too. And honestly, I don't know what could be done to slow it down there. There's just so much traffic that goes in and out off that I-5 exit. There's just, if you have a ton of people going to one location throughout the day, it's gonna generate multiple issues. you
Right.
know?
There's three things going on that day. One of my trucks got hit. I happened to be over there while the OSP guy was doing the sobriety test, and another guy got died.
Oh, wow.
So the deputy from Glenn County did an awesome job. He was working with the OSP.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was quite a mess in one day. I was like,
It's good to hear.
this can't be like this every day.
Yeah,
I don't think it's like that every day, but it definitely goes in spurts.
yeah. And I know we talked about past, like exactly what you were saying about OSP and the involvement. We don't see that, so we don't
Right.
know. So we know that, and that's, that's just another number out there that we don't know. And
Yeah.
so, all right, yeah.
Were we saying that we can get that information though, help with working with OSP?
I just make a phone call
Okay.
and just make a
Oh,
phone
you-
call, shoot an email and
Oh, that'd
see
be- okay.
kind of what kind of, how, I don't know how they track their data. You know, I mean, if I were to guess, it's just by milepost marker, because they don't do a lot of stuff off the highways or freeways.
Right.
But yeah, definitely make that phone call and see what they can give.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that'd be helpful as
Yeah.
well, just to let us take a look at it, see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody have any questions?
How does the OSP end up there and then Lynn County? So someone calls there at Love's, how did OSP end up there? Because he was there first, I believe.
Well, so sometimes, right, so a lot of times they'll get driving complaints from their dispatch. And if it's in that area, I think they just naturally check it.
Okay.
Yeah. But we scan multiple agencies. We have multiple radios. And so when we hear OSP scanner go off that they're out on field sobriety tests, we don't ever want that to be done alone.
Sure.
Because they need to concentrate on eyes and specific movements and senses. So we'll always back them up just to make sure for security, safety reasons.
You say you think they might track their data on milepost mark or a section of highway?
That was kind of more of a joke, but
I mean, the only reason I ask is because if they're gonna give us data, say for a section, if they're capturing say the rest area, it's probably gonna
right.
skew the numbers where it's not useful to us.
Yeah, and I don't know exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
We just give them a hard time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, if we can get good data, that'd be great.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Easy. If I haven't already, there's been kind of a history of people running from law enforcement, right? The last few years. Really?
Bring a taser?
No, we're not gonna be doing a taser demonstration.
I love tasers.
Is that a volunteer job?
Listen to you volunteering, John.
It'd be the longest 5 seconds of your life. So these are what spike strips look like. So we don't pursue for a lot of things right now, for a lot of different reasons. So what we try to do is do our best to get in front of people and lay these out in front of them. So the tires. These are needles. I left one uncapped. They're super, super sharp, but they're hollow. They'll go inside of a tire, and they're just basically held in here by pressure. So it'll puncture the tire, and it'll pull out, and then it leaves that needle with the hollow center to slowly deflect tires. Takes a couple minutes to do it. It's not fast, so it allows vehicles to slowly come to a stop instead of you'll see like on cops, like vehicles going up the flank. Yeah,
No.
these don't necessarily do that unless they push it real hard. But you want to help me?
Is this a newer tool here? that
This
you-
is not new. This is
Okay.
just people just get surprised when they see it out.
Oh,
It's just not a tool you'll see every day. You'll see they extend super, super far. Super far. All those little points are needles. And so we'll keep it compact and then hide behind a barrier, like a concrete barrier. Not necessarily a car, because cars can move when they get hit, but try to get in front of a car that wants to flee, and then toss those out extended. And then it covers over a lane of travel. So, they're usually very successful. Even if we get just one tire, we get that tire to come off, our chances are very good.
So it will deploy out by just throwing it out like that, one
Yeah.
burst? Yeah.
Yep, just
Cool.
like an accordion, so
Yeah.
I keep it compact, and I'll just keep my foot on the rope,
Mhm.
and then I'll throw it out, and then once that rope comes tight, it just
Sort of
extends fully.
Give it a little,
Yeah.
just to get it, yeah.
Yep.
Cool,
So that's kind of what spike strips look like. if
All right.
if nobody's seen spike strips.
all right. Well, hopefully you don't need to use them in Millersburg, but now we know.
Very excited when you get to that.
This is the only
Yeah.
forum you want to see.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Sergeant, I had a quick question, or it might not be so quick, but a follow-up. We're later in tonight's meeting, we're going to be discussing and potentially voting on an ordinance, a curfew ordinance. For your job, is a curfew ordinance going to be helpful to move forward with in our community?
Yes.
And could you elaborate a little bit? Like,
Yeah.
what's that do for you?
Well, it just gives us some teeth, kind of, instead of just sending kids home. If they're violating a municipal code or a state statute or something, we can forward those reports to courts or the juvenile department. A lot of times, the kids we contact, just like adults, we contact them repeatedly. And so not necessarily for curfews, but if they were on some type of juvenile probation for like a burglary they committed, something simple as a curfew violation can send them back on a timeout by violating a municipal code like that. So it also holds parents accountable too. There's an ordinance we don't use a lot, but sometimes if we get parents that aren't paying attention to their kids, failure to supervise is something we can enforce on parents who are kind of letting their kids run amok if they're below a certain age. And so that's kind of helpful to be able to stop and identify some of the juveniles we see for curfew violation, and then take them back to the parents and say, hey, your kids were violating this, which means you're violating this by not supervising them. So it just gives us more teeth and documentation, and helps other agencies also. So we're not just contacting kids, sending them home. We're contacting kids, documenting it, and then sending it to where it needs to go.
Okay. All right.
But there's also a state curfew.
Right. Okay.
And I would just remind council that, so we have talked, Steve and I talked
Mhm.
about this, and we shared that with them. This came up based on the conversation we had, I believe it was in July, which I think you used the state, or maybe or may not, but we thought we had one, and as we looked, we didn't realize we didn't have anything on the books, so we elected to go ahead. Off of your direction, we'll go ahead and put that in.
All right, great. Council, any questions for Sergeant?
Thank you.
All right, appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks for the demonstration.
Yeah. No
Taser
problem.
next time.
Tasers next time?
Mayor?
I might have to miss that meeting.
Talk to the boss.
I'll talk.
Mayor, I just wanted the record to reflect that Councilor Rom is now online, but he says he's having trouble hearing. So if everybody could lean into their microphones, I'm sure he would really appreciate it.
Okay, all right, thank you. Chief Wooten, Albany Fire.
Okay, I'm going to need a volunteer as well with the
All
AED.
right.
All right, good evening, Mayor, council, staff, Mr. Sorum, nice to meet you. I'm Shane Wooten, Fire
Nice to meet you.
Chief of the Albany Fire Department. So you have what looks like a familiar report that you get every quarter from us. So far in the city of Millersburg, this fiscal year, we've responded on 73 calls. And you can see your response time over those 73 calls has been 6 minutes, 53 seconds. That is less, as you can see, 30, 40 seconds less than the previous 3 years. I'd caution you to draw any sort of judgment from that or infer anything. You know, it's best waiting until we get more data and more into the fiscal year. And I suspect over that time, you'll probably see the numbers, the response time level out compared to what it was the previous 3 years. But it's probably been 6 months since I've told you this, maybe a little bit longer. But some of you and the council before you made a decision to partner with the Albany Fire Department. And for fun, I looked back at the 2017 study that you commissioned to look at response times in your community. And just to reiterate, it was 15 minutes was the response time that you were getting as a community. And by partnering with us, you can see over the last over 3 years, you literally have cut that response time in half. And when minutes mean heart muscle or brain capacity, time is of the essence. So thank you for partnering with us. And I was telling Mayor Cowan, I'm in Rotary with somebody who lived, well, with quite a few people that live in Millersburg. And he commented how happy he was with the city of Millersburg making that decision to partner with Albany Fire Department. So we can go to the next slide. So type of incidents. Probably what stood out to me the most over the first 3 months of this fiscal year is the fact that fire alarm activations are down. If you recall, over the last few years, fire alarm activations generally are one of your most frequent responses that we go out on in the city. You know, of course, with all your industry in town, it makes sense that we would do that. So again, I don't want to infer much out of 3 months, but I'd love to say that it was because the staff of the Albany Fire Department working with your industry to make sure that their fire alarm systems are up to speed and updated was a cause of that, but we'll refrain from that for another few months before we make that assumption. Next slide. All right, I wanted just to kind of summarize the 2023 fire season as it relates to the Albany Fire Department. So we went out on 5 different conflagrations as a department. And for those of you that don't know, a conflagration is when a community is overwhelmed. And they've used all the mutual aid resources around them. The governor of the state can declare a conflagration, which gives statutory authority to the Oregon State Fire Marshal to muster up municipal departments and districts to go out and to help stand that community back up. So you can see there were 5 different communities that Linn County went out to help. And then one thing different this year than we've had in previous years, we actually requested resources twice in Linn County. So if anybody in Linn County believes that wildfire happens in Southern Oregon or the east side of the mountains, it is absolutely not true. Our landscape is changing for whatever reason it is, but fires are active on the west side, and we had 2 where we had to have outside resources come in. ODF, especially that Priceboro fire, you could see it from I-5. So folks that day were treated to probably an impressive sight because ODF ordered over $1 million worth of air assets to hit or try to extinguish that fire that day. And they even pulled in, it's called a VLAT, very large air tanker. Those are the big jet planes that lay the long line of red retardant. They had called up one of those from California. So fire was active in the Willamette Valley this summer. So with that, if there's anybody listening at home, please know that the Albany Fire Department, we offer free evaluations of your home to walk around the perimeter, give you suggestions on what you could do to help your home become fire safe. And you can do that just by reaching out to our normal 91541-917-7700 number, and we can hook you up with the right person to do that. All right, next slide. All right, this last Saturday, we did our treasure hunt. We purposefully, we used Station 15 last year, and we purposely used it again as one of our 2 stations that we opened. Unfortunately, I will say there wasn't a lot of attendance at any of the sites, at Station 15, at the police station, Station 14 in North Albany, and the tangent station. When I visited all the sites Saturday, very, very little participation. I will say when I drove by the YMCA, which a lot of those folks there are our clientele for Treasure Hunt, that place was packed. There was copious soccer games. It was beautiful weather. We'll try it again next year because this is the only year that we really haven't been really busy. And we'll maybe step up some advertising and see if that helps. Next slide. And you can ask questions if you have any as we go through the presentation. Okay, so AED loaner program. So probably about 6 months, somebody in, actually he lives in Albany, approached me in our Rotary Club about the Albany Fire Department had an AED that they could borrow. He had a relative that was ill, was coming over for a family affair, and he just thought he would feel safer if he had an AED present. Well, we did not have one at the time. So like a true Rotarian, everybody just kind of brainstormed our group, and we partnered with both Rotary clubs in Albany, which many of them live in the city of Millersburg, and the Albany Safety Foundation, which is a foundation that Albany Police Department and Albany Fire Department started with the idea of getting AEDs out into the community. And the Albany Fire Department, we bought an AED that we now test people can come and check the AED out. So I'll try to speak in this. Here, actually, I can go like this, can't I?
You can take it off the stand too if you want.
Oh, I'll just go like this because it'll be quick. All right. So AED, nice little carved out insulated box, Pelican case. And people can come by, can reach out to the Albany Fire Department, and they can watch a couple videos. They can sign a waiver, and then they have to leave a $500 refundable, fully refundable deposit. We figured we needed to have some sort of skin in the game before we just let somebody walk out with the $1,600 AED. But we didn't want that barrier to be so high that people wouldn't check it out. So we'll see if the 500 becomes an issue and if we have to lower it or change it. But we wanted the barrier to be low. So please, if you know people that want to borrow an AED, we have one that they can come check out. All right, and then the other piece on the on that slide. Yeah, so it's up to 7 days. So if you're having a family event or you're participating in a softball tournament, or another possibility, and this just happened the last week, this idea came up. If you have an AED at your workplace that maybe is out of service and you're waiting for it to get repaired, this would be a perfect application for you to come and grab this until you can get your AED fixed. So,
Councilor Rom had a question. He was curious if there's only one available for the entire Albany Millersburg community.
at this point, there is only one. With that being said, all the groups that participated and donated money, they all have agreed that if the demand is such, they would pony up for another. And we actually had the Albany Chamber of Commerce, Janet Steele reached out to me. She wanted to get a part of the deal as well, but we had already moved forward and had secured the funding that we needed. So I think there's other people out there that would be willing to participate if we needed to add more. Okay, the last piece here, well, maybe last piece, Intercommunity Health Network, Coordinated Care Organization. So the Albany Fire Department received a $500,000 grant to enhance our community paramedic program. Samaritan Health, who manages the CCO for this area, asked, because of the relationships that we have with them, asked if we'd be willing to be a part of a trial where we will implement in our response area something that's the FUSE model, Frequent User System Engagement. And the idea is that individuals who are recently released from incarceration or the unhoused or frequent users of the emergency room, we will be assigned individuals to go out and to try to find them and get them the care that they need on site without those individuals calling 911 and ending up in the emergency room. It's a trial program. It's a 2-year trial. We have different benchmarks and key performance indicators that we're measuring our success on. And then at the end of the 2 years, of course, with Samaritan Health, we'll decide whether or not the program needs to continue or what we need to do next. But I'm really proud of the fire department of AFD because if it weren't for the relationships and things we've done in the past, we wouldn't get a cold call like that. And that was literally what it was. We had no idea this existed, and we got a cold call saying, "Hey, would you be interested in partnering with us again?" And as Mayor Cowan knows, we start from yes when people come to us with ideas, and we work from there. And so I'm really excited. Hopefully that'll serve individuals in our community who need serving. Last couple little things, and I'll be quiet. If you recall previously before, I've talked about us wanting to add capacity to our ambulance system. We are in the recruiting process right now for that. Hopefully we'll be able to have those individuals hired and started at the beginning of November. And what that means to you is typically right now, your ambulance comes from 3 Lakes Road, Medic 13. And when we staff this ambulance, it's going to be at Station 11, the downtown station. And what that does is that shrinks the district and the area that Medic 13 is responsible for, thereby making it more available for Millersburg. So we've looking at our responses and projecting into the future, we know the area that we need to stand up the most and add capacity is our ambulance service, and we're trying to make the first step in doing so. So next time that I come, we should have an additional ambulance in our fleet. We've already purchased the ambulance. It's in service, ready to go. Now we just need the humans to respond. Well, we need to hire the humans, train them up to our standards. They'll already be certified, but we have to bring them up to our level, and then they'll start responding. Lastly, Albany Firefighters Community Assistance Fund, our nonprofit. I've talked about that before. We've had 3 different fundraisers since we've last met. We've had our golf tournament, raised $11,000. We shoot for 20 teams. We had 29 teams, ran out of food, ran out of carts, hot mess, but made a lot of money. We did our cornhole tournament. That was the opposite. We were hoping for 20 teams, but we had lots of people sign up, but then the Oregon-Colorado game announced their kickoff was the same time that our cornhole tournament was, and immediately we had 6 teams drop. And then we partnered last year and again this year with Antiques in the Streets. And thankfully, I'm sorry you didn't have your car show, but what that did for the Albany Fire Department was it created 1 car show on that Saturday, and we get the proceeds of the donations and the fees. So we made $9,000 just going in one day, helping and volunteering, do some work for Antiques in the Streets. So with that, I will be quiet and answer any questions. Please.
I have one thing to share. Chief Rami shared with me Friday that the Auto Pulse had arrived.
Yes.
And he thought that it probably was being put in service as we were talking.
Yeah, so the Autopulse has arrived. You had an Autopulse in town for a little while. What we did was when we ordered an Autopulse for a new ambulance, while the new ambulance was being put in service and outfitted, that meant we had an Autopulse that was just sitting in the station. So we actually brought it out to Station 15, put it into service, and now we received, what was it, the end of last week, or maybe Monday of this week, we received your Autopulse, and it'll go out on engine 15. So thank you very much for doing that.
All right. Any other follow-up questions? Does council know what the AFCAF funding does and how we've used that.
Okay, let me tell you, Albany Firefighters Community Assistance Fund, it's been in our department probably for at least 25 years.
Close to 30.
And so on all of our fire trucks, there is at least, and ambulances, and some staff vehicles, there is at least $50 cold hard cash. Most have 100, maybe even 100 or more in a lockbox. And if any of our crews see an opportunity where that money can make a difference in somebody's life and make usually a credit situation a little better or a little less painful, they have carte blanche ability to use that money. All they have to do is write their name on the envelope, what they used it for, they send it back in, and then magically money reappears. We also use it for if there is a fire and somebody is displaced. Some insurance companies are better than others. Some will get you in a hotel that night. Others, sometimes you call your agent, you have to leave a message, you wait. Well, we don't want to leave you in that environment, so we're able to give you a hotel room. We're also able to give you cash, because frequently, you don't have time to get to a bank, you don't have anything, and so we want you to leave having a little bit of cash in your wallet. We also do all sorts of oddball items. I can think of stories of a child riding a bike and somebody hits their car, or they're not hurt, but their bike is trashed. They'll go out to Target and buy a bike and give it to the kid. Lots of really, really cool stories. And it's really a cool program because there aren't rules attached to it. It's really one of these old school honor system programs that works, and we don't have people abuse it. And we have to raise money for it because we can't use taxpayer dollar for that. And so we do different activities throughout the year to generate money.
Thanks for explaining that.
Yeah.
That's good. All right, any other follow-up? Treasure hunt, what activities did we do here? I knew
At
the
15,
Ranger was
at
the
15
side-by-side?
was Ranger Rides, was the Combat
Oh,
Challenge.
Combat Challenge, that's right. Yeah.
The Junior Combat Challenge were the big ones. And then, of course, they got candy and
Yeah.
whatnot.
All the stickers.
Yep. and stickers.
Helmets.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Well, thanks, Chief.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right,
Have a good
appreciate
night.
it. All right. All right. Our next guest is Ryan, is the Executive Director with Oregon Cascade West Council of Governments. And you got your report. Thanks for coming.
Thank you so much, Mayor, Council, and staff. It's always an honor to be here. I think most everybody knows me, but a couple of you. So yes, as the mayor said, Ryan Vogt, Executive Director for Cascades West Council of Governments. Tough acts to follow. I didn't bring any toys to play with tonight, and my report's a little bit smaller. But I just wanted to spend a couple minutes with you all tonight. It's important to me to continue to come out to member agencies. So thank you so much, both for being a member agency and for a couple minutes tonight. I know I don't, I am able to come out as frequently as you would like me to. And so it doesn't have to be once a year. It can be quarterly or anytime there's something hot that you want to chat about. In the packet is a relatively lengthy body of work that tries to explain a little bit about our footprint in the county. And then last year when I came out, or last time that I came out, I made the commitment that produce this next year's worth of reports. I was going to do everything I could to create a one-pager or two-pager for each member agency, because it doesn't necessarily do a whole lot of good to just talk about all of the things that we do in Lynn County. It's important to understand what are we doing in the backyard, right? So what you have here is our first shot at that, and I'm happy to say we did it. I also would like to point out there's quite a bit of landscape there. This does not fully represent everything that we have going on in Millersburg, and it also talks about the opportunity that may exist for us to do a little bit better marketing about the types of services that we have and what it is that we can do in your area. So what I have today And you all can pass these around, look at them, do whatever you'd like to with them. But we're experiencing this with a number of the member agencies, is that not necessarily people in town know a whole heck of a lot about who we are. And one of the city managers said, hey, if you put some information together, we'll put it up on our bulletin board. We'll send it out in our utility billing. We'll make it available. As people come in, they may not know what it is that the COG does, and this may be a way to publish a little bit of information. So what I brought today is 2 examples of ones that we've been sending out to some of the city managers to, put up if they'd like to. And I'll let you all play with it or do whatever you like. And if you are interested, Kevin, happy to just put it on the list and make sure that Meg gets that sent over to you if you're interested.
Yeah. Because I was just looking to see, because I think we have a link.
Okay, great.
COG on here also, so we can put it under that.
Great. So the report is there. It was, kind of last year's annual body of work, and so it's a little bit stale right now. It wasn't my plan to belabor the report, but I'm happy to answer questions if anybody has questions about it.
Mayor, Councilor Rom has a question. He says, what is a Blizzard box?
What is a Blizzard box? A Blizzard box is a frozen meal so that if we have to shut down our meal site or we have to shut down delivering meals because of weather, they have, the consumer has a box available that they can put in their freezer, and it has meals available to them. They would still have to microwave them or whatever.
Oh, so it's not from Dairy Queen?
It's not.
Oh.
No,
Dang
but
it.
we
I
would
was
happily take that donation, I think.
Yeah.
So there are a couple things that are happening right now that I did want to draw your attention to. One is we are in the process of recruiting for one of our high-level director positions, our community and economic development director. Many of you worked with Jenny Glass, our last community and economic development director, who was so wonderful that she got hired into a much better position doing the entire region. But we are in the process of trying to fill those shoes. And I am hopeful that the next time you see me, I'll be able to bring whoever that successful candidate is, as that's really a key part of the footprint of our organization. But one of the other things I think is really exciting is, as I've been in this role and talking about how is it that we can help, what's next in terms of places for us to start digging into, one of the themes that I've consistently heard, particularly from smaller member agencies, is the need to have some additional expertise and or resources as it comes to pulling down grants, especially with the level of infrastructure grant funding that's been pouring out over the last couple of years, that there is a real level of kind of technical expertise if you want to get into the water, or if you want to get into the broadband, or if you want to get into things that are going to be foundational for housing. And a lot of our member agencies don't have the capacity to bring on a full-time grant writer. So we made the commitment this year that we are going to bring on 3 full-time grant writers to be able to serve member agencies. We fortunately also got some money from the legislature that might be able to supplement that. But what I am happy to say today is, when I bring the grant writers on, I would like them to spend some time in the communities, getting to know the communities, entirely on my dime. You cannot write a grant if you do not know who it is you're writing a grant for. And so there may be an ask to free up some space or free up some time to help the grant writers get associated and really understand the communities throughout. And then as opportunities come forward, there'll probably be a way for us to decipher prioritization and things of that nature. But my plan is to fully split the cost 50-50 with cities when we write grants. So if it costs me, $80 an hour to have a grant writer fully loaded, then we would split it $40 an hour a piece while we're writing the grant. The thinking is, one, this is a resource that's absolutely needed, and it's already cost prohibitive. That's why everybody doesn't have grant writers on staff or on contract. And two, the belief is that grant writers, we're also going to be trying to get grant administration support. And at some point in time, if these grants start coming in to be successful, some of the administration money will come in and the COG may be a viable resource to administer the grants, and that will further offset these costs in the long run. So as long as I can afford it, I will do it at that reduced rate. We have second round interviews for our first batch of people tomorrow. I do not think that, well, I absolutely know we will not have 3 people because we're only interviewing 2. But hope is that we can start ramping this up, and as more information comes, I'll get that out to you. But I'm really excited about this next phase for us. It's probably going to be a little while before they're up and fully functional, but I think it's going to be really great. Now, the money that came from the state at the last minute, they really tied it to housing readiness. So it's going to be, we're going to have this delicate balance there, but housing readiness right now seems like it's a pretty wide open door. So improving water delivery systems or wastewater arguably needs to be done before you can be housing ready. Assisting with, planning and usage issues, utility issues, wetland mitigation, maybe someday. All of those things I think are going to be fair game for what we do with these grants in order to tap into that pot of money. But I'm also putting some of our own money aside, like I said, just to bring them up to speed and to be able to do the cost split. So if we have something that is a really good grant to chase for a community, and we can't get it to squeeze into that bucket, we'll find a way to make it happen.
That's cool. That's exciting. That's a great resource potential for us and other cities to use.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
I would just mention that if for anyone that wants, so on our website, if you go to our community tab on it, and then resources for residents at the bottom of that list, it has senior disability services. You click on that, takes them to Oregon Cascade West Council of Governments webpage. So we do have you linked up.
Nice.
Cool.
So you might want to challenge other cities too.
Put it on
Great.
the site.
Maybe that's why our website shut down today. There was
there you
too much traffic.
I don't think I doubt that.
At least we got it, right?
At least you got it.
Yeah.
At least you got it.
Any follow-up questions for Ryan? Thanks, Ryan. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, I
Appreciate it.
appreciate
Thanks
it.
for the information, and yeah, good luck with the grant program, and yeah, look forward to seeing more of that. Maybe, see if we can get some assistance as well.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit to roll it, but
Yeah.
I'm excited about it. Make sure to keep you all up to date. If it's okay with you, I'm going to go ahead and roll out, but Mayor knows how to get a hold of me. Staff certainly knows how to get a hold of me. So if anybody needs to follow up with me, I'm happy to do it.
All right, great. Thanks, Ryan.
Good seeing you.
Have a good night. Okay, moving on, we are to public comment. Anyone here, public comment? Anyone online? It's an opportunity to ask questions, bring up the council.
We have some folks online, seeing no questions.
Okay, all right, then we'll move on to council or staff comments. I wanted to announce that we've been approached, the city's been approached by GAPS to discuss potential future school in Millersburg. And so we're just early stage of just potentially just seeing what conversation we can have. So we're gonna go ahead and schedule a work session, and that will be a public work session, and start those conversations and see where it takes us. But that's, want to just announce that. And any other comments from the council? All right, and we go on to, what we got here, city manager report.
I'll let Janelle start off with the projects updates on the workout front.
All right, so there's been a lot of work here at City Hall over the last couple of weeks, and these are all projects we've been talking about for a while that were planned. We did some concrete work out in front. You see the caution tape still around it. We want to stay off of that for 7 to 14 days, and it was poured last Friday, so you can do the math on when we'll be taking that down. And that's for the Dropbox area. And we do have a sidewalk planned in the future, but that's around the north end of the building. And that has not been poured yet. We also got the generator pad and fuel tank pads poured at the same time. So the generator project is also moving along. And the conduits were put in, some more work internal to the building will go on, I think tomorrow, and then the generator itself will get set in the next couple of weeks. The next slide. We had a few windows that replaced here in the council chambers, and that took some photos that you can see up there, as well as all the upper panels along the top, and I didn't count, I think there were 14 of those.
More than that.
Well,
20-something.
all of the panels along the top, which, did you put the picture in with the, no? Okay, the old panels were very,
These guys right there.
very deteriorated, and when they took them out, they were falling apart, so definitely was time to get those replaced.
Did we see any water damage?
Behind them.
Well,
To the structure.
yeah, when they were up there, we had to have a roofing contractor take off the flashing at the top, the cap, and then the window folks took everything out and replaced it. They said they could see evidence of water, but everything was wrapped really well that was up there, and so they really didn't see damage that we'll need to do anything about. Of course, if there's damage farther down inside, we just won't know that until someday when this building is torn down probably, but at this point, no, there's no more work that needs to be done to address the water issue. The one, if you notice now, you probably all noticed if I pointed out, but the one piece of metal at the top that had to be taken off and then put back on was inadvertently dropped during that process and damaged. So the roofing contractor will be replacing that piece at some point in the near future. Any questions on that?
Yeah, it's all the furniture. And desk, yeah.
Want me to keep going, or do you
Go
want?
ahead.
All right. There's not a lot to say here, other than there was a remodel of the office space here, which everyone can see if you look around the corner. Mostly for ergonomics and efficient use of space. There's a little more open space now than there was, but that allows us to add a workstation in the future. Where we had two walkways, now we've pushed it over to one side so we can use that space. And
IT upgrades. Number of security upgrades to our IT system which were budgeted for this year are in progress. Some of the actions include replacing hardware and equipment that's reached the end of its lifespan. And we're also instituting equipment and policy changes to be eligible to enhance our cyber insurance through our insurer. So that will include a policy that each of you will also need to review and sign off on for training and stuff, because you have access to our system that will be coming up. And along with that, we're moving to a new .gov domain, which will provide a higher level of cyber protection, and which is only available to government agencies. So we expect final approval of that this month. And once we receive it, we'll be transitioning to a new website address. So it'll be lawrenceburgoregon.gov, and a change from our current cityof-lawrenceburg.org. But we'll be able to have both marrying each other. So, as we gradually do that, as time goes on, we'll change our business cards and everything like that. And along with that, with the current cityof-lawrenceburg.org extensions, associated email addresses will remain active and also be rerouted to lawrenceburg.oregon.gov. We're going to move to a new email address format. So as you can see, it's going to be first name, period, last name at lawrenceburgoregon.gov, or in this case, as an example, benny.beaver@lawrenceburgoregon.gov. And do not follow Matt's. If you're online listening, do not try emailing. That's not going to be an email address. That was Matt just having some fun
I like that.
on there. So we'll update the cards as time comes forward. So, but you'll be seeing that. So
You just noticed that, huh? The t-shirt.
So it came in a little bit. The funding for the upgrades to our stuff came in a little under, which is nice. So we're also going to do some upgrades to our camera security system here in the city, in City Hall, and adding some additional cameras for some additional coverage for the outdoor areas as well, so. Janelle.
All right, this is a quick one. So we've been talking about a sidewalk along Woods Road that will eventually connect up to multi-use path, but is in design, early stages of design right now. So we have a contractor on board to construct a sidewalk between the north leg of Riverstone Loop and Sonora. This will provide connectivity for the folks in that neighborhood to get into another neighborhood and to other places throughout the city without having to get on Woods Road. They've been asking for it. I have actually one resident who's been persistently asking about it and just asked again tonight. So I was able to let him know that this is scheduled due to the time of year and budget and all that. What we planned for this year, we're just doing this segment right now. We'd like to get this in. It is getting wet now, but the contractor feels confident that they won't have any problem getting this done with the weather we've got over the next few weeks.
All right, a little bit at a time.
Yep.
That's a good one.
That's a good one.
Yeah, for sure. We had a kid get hit right in that section there, but it wasn't because they didn't have a sidewalk to use there. Just not skateboarding in the middle of the street doesn't really
And
work,
dark
but
clothes in the middle.
anyways, yeah.
All right, and just a really quick update on where we're at with the Transition Parkway design. Have the 90% documents now, been spending a lot of time the last week reviewing those, and we have a workshop on Thursday to go over comments with the consultants. So that is moving along.
A couple of additional things. Manufactured home is under contract for sale. We expect to close on that on October 20th. So almost a year, since it was listed for almost a year before we had a suitable offer on it. So that will be taking place. So we'll probably see that moving off site here within a month and a half. Tank farm update. Wanted to let you know that we had a meeting with Kinder Morgan. They were out Tuesday following our council session, last council meeting. So about 2-3 weeks ago, they will be taking the tanks down. They expect to have them no later than the first of the year. In fact, they said their stated goal is for December 1st. Actually have them taken down and removed. So
That is something as a city we should celebrate. But it is a long time with Kinder Morgan to get that. That goes back to Don Miller, I think started. I had multiple conversations with Kinder Morgan, but I think really finishing touches was Kevin with the coming up with potentially the pressure to put on Kinder Morgan with the ordinance. So thank you. That's something that's I think probably all council and staff probably has heard at one point or another. It's like, what about those tanks? So awesome work.
So yes, hopefully we will probably see, I would imagine, some activity here pretty quickly coming up on it. The other thing we just want to make you aware of, our chair of our planning commission has resigned and is moving to Arizona. Initially told us he was moving to Texas and is moving to Arizona. So I think, Matt, I'm not sure if that's got posted yet for a vacancy on the planning commissioner for the current applications on there. And then the other thing I just wanted to make you aware of, I've been asked to do a presentation on economic development growth in the city of Millersburg at the March Chamber Forum. So as we go through that, we'll keep you advised of that. So that was asked. That's all I have.
Is that lunch? That lunch?
Yes.
Send out invites, yeah. Yeah, let me know.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. That'd be good.
Kevin, you might want to mention who the new planning commission chair is.
Oh, that is true. The new, I'll let you, Mr. Straight, go ahead.
Well, the planning commission chair happens to be with us here, Mr. Doug Iverson. He wasn't there, and so shame on him. He was nominated to be the chair because he wasn't there. So, ta-da.
There you go. That's what happens.
That's what happened.
Well, thank you for doing that and stepping up into that leadership role. Yeah.
I actually believe the new chair and vice chair neither were here at the meeting when they were both nominated and voted in. But-
He doesn't get any better.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, good one. Oh, that's it for you guys?
Yes.
All right. City Attorney's report?
I don't have too much. I just do have one thing that Matt brought to my attention prior to the council meeting coming into session is we have a timer with a light, if you can bring that out. I do, this is a tool, it's, it doesn't need to be used, but in times when we have a public hearing and we need to go ahead and follow the rules and making sure that we are keeping people to a 3-minute time period for their speech, it is nice to have. So that is just not needed in every meeting, of course, but when there's a time and place for it, it's nice to know that we have something conveniently available.
And you still have more time? Anything else?
Nothing else.
And more time?
No, I relinquish my time.
Okay.
It will actually blink yellow at 1 minute,
Oh, yeah.
and then when it hits the end, it just blinks red. Oh, I'll leave it on, you can see.
Yeah, I think, there's definitely at times when we have a large amount of input and stuff like that, it'd probably be the time to maybe just address that. But yeah, I think it's a good tool to have in certain situations as we come across. So thank you.
Will you be the keeper of the timer?
And it has volume on it, should we choose to use it, but we probably won't. But we were very specific about choosing this one because everybody could see it. All the rest were one-sided, which left poor left Sheena in the dark, and so she wouldn't know when it was going. So this was better because it was omnidirectional.
Looks like a projectile too. In case it gets heated every once in a while.
There you go. All right, moving on. We have we're good on unfinished business, so move on to new business.
All right, so as we discussed briefly earlier, a couple months ago, during the report, the sheriff's office talked about a break-in that involved some juveniles after hours, and talked about, there was some brief discussion about a curfew, and I think all of us thought that we had a curfew on the books. After that meeting, we looked and we didn't, so we discussed last month a draft based on a neighboring community's curfew. So that curfew ordinance is before you for your consideration to bring in. And as I mentioned, both Alan had reviewed it, and we also had had discussions with LCSO on it prior to finalizing.
All right. What's it? Oh, yeah, almost there.
You got a minute left.
Yeah. Any questions, comments from council? All right. Good to move forward if we would choose to adopt this ordinance.
I move to adopt ordinance number 207-23.
Second. All right, we got a second. We'll take a vote. All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right, motion passed. The ordinance passed.
I will just mention, you will notice one thing that's a little bit different on this one that we did do is added declaring an emergency. Figured since it was something to come into play versus waiting the 30 days for it to go in, that it would come into effect immediately.
Okay. Good with that?
Did Mark vote?
Oh, yeah, with this S, Mark. Good, thank you.
He said aye.
Sorry about that, Mark. Forgot about you there.
I should have seen it come in. I apologize.
Okay.
I wasn't, did the declaring emergency get caught in the?
In the
Now,
motion?
Would that need to be caught in the motion or not?
I think it's your, I believe is,
I'm just,
It's,
The motion was to adopt the ordinance, so
Yeah,
is
and it's in
the
the
ordinance is
It's
in
the
that
ordinance.
language,
It's
so
in the ordinance.
that's,
Yeah, it's in the.
that is approved.
all right, good. All right, thanks. Any other new business to come forward? All right. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'll get it. That's what we're doing.
Okay. I couldn't hear you.
The question was, what was the curfew times? So it depends on whether it's during the week or on the weekend. So the curfew age requirement is 18 years or less, and if they're out, they have to be with someone 21 years of age or older. And during the week, it is at 10:30 PM. So it's 10:30 PM on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, to 5:30. And then on Friday and Saturday, 5:30 of the following morning. Midnight to 5:30. Midnight to 5:30.
All right. Yeah, thanks for asking the question. All right, closing council comments. Nothing to add. Then, anything from Mark? I don't want to. All right, then we are adjourned. Thank you. Then we're gonna move into work session, talk about urban renewal. Yeah, we'll go ahead and take a 5-minute break, see where we are there, and move into the work session. Thank you.
They get a permit. They have to get a permit every year. Yeah. Now that's for MDA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
always right there. at
It
the
starts like-
intersection,
it starts
so it's illegal to hand money out with that. That's why I don't do that one. That one messed me up the second time. I'm like, I ain't doing it a third.
I know.
I'll do the flu shot.
The flu doesn't. But this one, it's still, it's a thing. Yeah.
Do push-ups.
There you go.
After you get a shot, that's what we always do, especially like when we were getting our anthrax vaccine.
Oh, yeah.
So that's like, as soon as you get it, you're like,
No,
just something
I'm
to help get that,
hoping,
to move your muscle.
and maybe add
That
some,
one really hurts.
give me a little bit of
Yeah, the only shot is yellow fever.
that interest isn't renewal.
What branch are you in?
So
And you have to get that one every 10 years. I know I got it.
just
once,
to frame
right
it.
after I got married.
Yeah.
I mean, I got in the house
Yeah.
late. I mean, I passed out.
Okay, great, thanks.
So well. She's like, why won't you go? When she said, "Who gets the meetings?" I mean, it only lasted a couple hours.
That's Mr. Oh, man. I think we need to do that.
On the
Yeah,
plan.
That's what the difference is.
Yeah, as soon as we call them.
You didn't know you were in for an extra leg tonight, did you? I knew.
Yeah.
Just so
It's always about, it's always about.
What's behind it?
Turning up the sensitivity.
Oh.
Okay, so now you guys are
And then you lower it.
louder.
So if you go in, so you, if it's at full mass, then you lower it all the way down and then, or you'd stop it. Oh, yeah, you'd stop it.
Test 1, 2, test 1, 2.
Probably an info sheet.
How are you hearing us now?
Oh, right.
We have that. We get it.
Yeah.
You talking about the fire department?
Yeah, we already gave him a hard time. Thanks, Doug, appreciate it. Thanks, Doug. Yeah.
Mark says the mics are much better this way.
Do you tell them what we did?
Yeah,
What did you guys do?
we turned up the gain
Turn
on
the gain
all of
up
them
on all
except
the lights.
mine. I turned mine down. Because mine seems to be really loud.
You're closer to one of the speakers, so you're getting the feedback as well. So, Mark, how is this where I'm at right now?
Well, for the record, and I explained this in a text to everybody online, because we've got a city council member at home online right now, we've switched this around. So what you're seeing here presented will allow them to be on the speakers all the time. So Mark, if you unmute, Council Rom, if you unmute right now and speak, the whole room will hear you, just so you know. Same with Sheena. and
It
everybody
sounds
else
much
online.
better, but there is some reverb coming back.
In theory, we're supposed to hear him. I'm not sure why we're not.
he's in the closet.
What is that?
It's really loud. You could bring the volume down a little bit, probably. There you go.
We'll start up here in just. another
Council
minute
Rom,
or
can you
two.
speak again, just so we can see if you're coming through the main speakers here? You should be.
I should be, right?
It's supposed to be working. It's not.
Is it?
What was it? Is it
It's okay,
coming
we've got a
through?
plan B. We're gonna take Janelle's mic and just pull it around to her computer, and that'll work as well.
Dude,
That's
I
our
heard
backup.
something over there. Is it?
You're hearing it out of the computer closet.
Okay. It is coming right across
The
it.
computer you're seeing here is running from the closet, and so the speakers on that computer are working great. That's
Right.
why you hear him like he's hiding in the closet.
I'm not.
Janelle, playing on the
Gonna
house
get my
system,
task.
so if you can unmute your Aspen and pull a microphone over. I can do the same thing on this LTE, but the audio is probably far.
Okay.
worse than audio on your laptop.
Let's give it a try.
Now we gotta move all the mics back.
No, wait, Mark, you gotta say something.
That's even better.
Oh, I'm muted. I did the wrong thing. This could get really, really.
Are we
Try again.
recording?
Yes, computer's not recording.
We should, we're not gonna stop it and restart.
So we have two separate recordings.
Yes, 2 separate recordings would be great.